Today we've got an F80 M3 on the dyno in the dyno room that is getting a GTMore catback exhaust. So pretty excited to get an opportunity to document a little bit of the catback only system. We've gone over a lot of the full rowdy rambunctious GTMore system that gets rid of the secondary cats typically used with applications that are catless downpipes. But this car still has the factory cat, still has the secondary cats, still fully EPA compliant and street legal. So this one's gonna get the GTMore catback version. The full system, as I mentioned, very rowdy, very loud. This system, kind of a good middle ground. So if you're still street driving the car, it's gonna increase that volume, help you hear the car on track, but also not be so absurdly loud that it's gonna be crazy for a street car. So first part of comparing the power and torque is to do a baseline run in stock form. This car is bone stock, stock intake, stock cats, stock exhaust, stock tune. So really, really good comparison tool at a stock car to put the catback version on this. And also, we are going to make sure we use same car, same dyno, same day. As soon as we're done with this baseline dyno run, we're gonna take it up there, put it on a lift, change the exhaust out, bring it right back down. But first, let's go ahead and get some of these baseline runs cooking. All right, so I was trying to get as even as possible for close runs, so I did a little more than 3. 3 is kind of the standard for the amount of runs. But you can see it bounced around 442, 438, 441. But then we did get really even for the last 3 runs, so 448, 447, 446 for horsepower, 433, 32, 32. I mean, really, we're in the ballpark, so now we'll get this thing off of here, let it cool down a little bit because it's a little bit hot to pull that exhaust, and then we'll swap it back out, see what the GTMore catback makes.
Would have been easier if Austin came over. Hey Austin, you ever been to a barn racing? I was just making an Amish barn racing joke.
Back up here, got the car on the lift, exhaust off, got the stock front section with the secondary cats, which we have to retain those for EPA compliance, which now we have that section cut, as you see here, and this is where the GTMore system will go. So a little bit bigger pipe diameter, obviously no big muffler at the back. We played with the H-pipe design, location here, tried to X-pipe, tried a few other things, a few different locations to see what made power and torque. And this is what we landed on, and we'll get to that dyno in a minute once we get this back on. But first, let's compare the weight. Now, this car has an M Performance exhaust on it, which is a little bit lighter than the bulkier stock muffler that comes on it. And also it flows a little bit better, so our tests maybe won't make quite as much of a difference versus a fully stock system. The weight difference won't be quite as much as a fully stock system. However, I'm willing to bet it's gonna be lighter. So help me pick this baby up. Let's weigh this one. Call that 43 pounds, which pretty light, and it feels pretty light as I pick it up. I know the factory stock one is a couple pounds heavier than that. All right, let's grab the GTMore system. All right, 34 pounds. So the M Performance package was 43 pounds. This one's 34. If I can do math right in my head, that's a 9-pound difference. So pretty impressive for this piece, which is actually got larger diameter pipes, which means more material, but still less weight. Obviously doesn't have that big muffler section in the center, but really, these factory systems are not like from E36, E46 days where they use this big heavy gauge material that just really added a ton of weight. So losing weight from exhaust has gotten a little bit more difficult, but still able to accomplish that with this GTMore system. Bigger diameter pipes, better flow. We'll find out what that means on the dyno here shortly. But for right now, let's get this on the car. Back in the dyno room, GTMore catback is on the car, ready to see if this thing makes a little bit more power. But let's be honest, you put an exhaust in the car, it's all about the sound. And I heard this thing fire up after they put it on the car from my desk in the office, and it purrs. So let's find out if it makes more power, then we'll take it for a drive and get some more sound impressions. Let's get cracking. Done dynoing with the GTMore catback exhaust on this thing, and we made a little bit more power. So not just sound, but also power torque. Actually, power was really close to the same if you're only looking at peak numbers, but there's so much more to a dyno graph than just checking out peak numbers. So we're gonna dive in a little bit and look at what we got going on. I chose the graph from earlier today that made the absolute most power from our early baseline runs. Wanted to make sure this was a fair comparison, not trying to fudge anything, but gonna look at the differences between a couple of the different runs and show where it makes up some differences aside from just peak power. So if you're looking at just the peak power numbers, okay, we made a little bit more this run, 449 versus 448, 1 horsepower, big whoop. If you're looking at the torque though, which we've advertised this all along, the torque is really where this system starts to shine. We made 20 foot-pounds more torque on this run here, and really on average, 10 to 12 peak foot-pounds of torque. Now, if we actually look at, let's hide a couple of these to make this easier. Let's go with this one. Now, if you look at the graph though, your peak numbers are kind of up here, but that green line, which is the line with the GTMore exhaust, versus that yellow line, the difference is greater the whole way across the board. I mean, if you're looking at this around 4,000 RPM, we got 14 foot-pounds more torque, 11 more horsepower. You know, up here, we've got 11 more wheel horsepower, 10 more foot-pounds of torque, really across the board, except for right in this little range here, which even on like the GTMore, we would still kind of shift a little bit early because the power just starts to kind of nose off a little bit. Even though we had those big turbos, it did make a little bit bigger difference. But with the smaller stock turbos on this car, power does start to nose off a little bit. Take a peek at a different graph. This one has this massive lump of torque on the early side of things, making almost 20, no, over 20, 23, I don't know. What's that, 27, 28? I can't do math in my head. More foot-pounds of torque there, 20 more wheel horsepower right there, and still follows that same trend of making more power across the board. What's my next one? We'll go with this one. Yeah, same deal, just across the board. So it's not just peak horsepower to be considering, it's that power that you're actually using. And if you're actually using it on track, I want to know how much power and torque is going to help me get out of that corner at Oak Tree at VIR when I'm doing 47, 48 miles an hour and pull me through, not just what that magic power Dyno Queen number is. And this system actually does help promote torque and horsepower as shown here. It also sounds a little bit more rowdy. So next step is let's go take this thing on the street, get a few videos, sound clips, whatnot, and see how this baby purrs. Oh man, it's like being a kid, a teenager again, putting something obnoxious on my car, but actually this thing's not that obnoxious. Yeah. All right, that's kind of awesome. I haven't heard one of these with the catted system altogether on it in a little while, and I kind of forgot how good that sounds. So that's amazing. Lighter, faster, more powerful, louder. Sounds awesome. So check out a couple of these sound clips coming your way right now.
Ready to go? Should be an awesome race weekend. We are ready to kill it this year. It's good. It's going to be a wild ride.